So, what's new? What's happened? What's changed? Since in this last video, in fact, in the last turn, the Barbarians started breaking out everywhere. They had been pretty much hemmed in, although with a little bit of cheating on my side in terms of how to interpret straights, and I think I like it better anyway. There was a usurper from Hispania who's gained some control in Africa, who was limiting the Roman victory points a little bit. But since then, we have a revolt here in Gaul. These are actually some sort of Gauls. The punch through here is starting to extend. These guys are the Roman allies that got settled in Germania. These are Angles and what? Burgundians, who are kind of looking for a home somewhere in Germany and not finding it. They haven't been able to punch through. They've been beaten up by the Romans. The Angles tried to find a home in Britain and got shoved back. And, you know, they can just bonk back and forth between these two spaces, essentially. They can't get to this one without that being controlled. Well, that is actually controlled, so I don't know. They might have been able to retreat back there. And the Picts are breaking through up here. So we're seeing a lot happening. We're seeing the plunder marker go up. That's actually decreased Roman victory points a little bit. And, you know, the more barbarians there are on the board, the more the plunder is going to happen, right? Trying to think what else. I don't know. The Romans actually lost a point due to the breakthroughs that have been occurring, in addition to whatever came from plunder numbers. Byzantines are showing up to try to help them. See how that looks. I don't know if we're going to get more in. It's hard to judge things. If I have the will, I'll be down at least once more before I go dancing later today. It's a little after 1 now. Okay, the comment from the rules corrector. I misread it and misunderstood it. I was not fully... it was very late. It refers to the superior leadership modifier. I see what he's talking about. The side with the higher TR receives a DRM equal to the difference between the tactical ratings. That's actually... I'm confused why I did what I was doing. Like, that's actually in contradiction to what most games... I mean, what's written here is what most games do. And what I've been doing is not at all common. I guess I just misremembered completely what the fuck was going on in here. Because what I thought he was saying had to do with that card. Which, I mean, maybe I'm conflating two different issues, but yeah. Okay, well, Raid kicked me off due to server issues. And so I guess I'm going to start another turn here. And we got to draw our cards once again. There's one settled tribe, so I'll be putting a card into here. Let's see. Roman Rejuvenation. Play after winning a battle as the attacker. Increase retreat losses and victory points by 1. Well, you certainly wouldn't want to... So, yeah, after winning a battle. Okay, good. Might increase your own retreat losses, though, too, at the same time. I got another settlement option here. I don't know if I want to settle anyone. I could, like, move the Picts down. They're not that big a threat. We'll see. Militia, but anyway, I'm looking for a campaign. Play when Barbarian CU enters an unoccupied Loyalist space. Place a Loyalist CU in that space. Wow, that's kind of interesting. Force, especially against raiders. A limited settlement. We had this before, where I can get rid of a strength point of Barbarians. It kind of doesn't cost me anything. That's a nice card. I think I used it just for points last time, but Eagles leave Britain. Relocate all loyalists and CU in Britannia to a single loyalist at Atlantic Port. Change control of all loyalist places in Britannia to Allied, replacing fortifications with Allied CU. If Londinium is now Allied, place the Britain tribal marker Vortigern and 5 Allied CU there. Arthur will not be happy. Interesting. This could open up problems, but it means that the Romans don't have to worry about usurpers in Britain and stuff like that. Not that it's all that. Comitatensis. Place 2 loyalists CU with an unbesieged leader. That's a pretty good... Well, again, 3 ops gets you 4 CU, so I don't know. Alright, I didn't have any campaigns, which means we look to see what the barbarians are going to do. Merovich. Replace Clodio with Merovich. He should be my Frank, I would assume. Who's Clodio? These are Alemanni. Are my Franks dead? Oh yeah, I got my Franks killed. I bet you he doesn't exist. If the Frankish tribal marker is on the Allied side, barbarian player regains control over him. Don't resettle the Franks. Okay, but we killed them, so that's fine. Revolt against Rome. Target an Allied tribal marker with reinforcement score 2 or less on its migratory side. Migratory side? Oh, okay. The other side is... It's barbarian side, not really migratory. Barbarian player regains control of this tribe. That's potent. We could maybe convert these. Yep, we could bring the Germans back in. That sounds potent. But again, it gives me another piece I have to move and I have to have cards for, right? Barbarian migrations could be very valuable if there's a lot of openings towards pushing a bunch of forces forward, getting some plunder. Barbarian fleets activate up to 3 barbarian leaders in ports. Ooh. Each leader gets 6 action points. This impulse action points may only be expended on naval movement, changing control of others over spaces and or siege attempts. So if I had a lot of naval guys, this could be very potent. But right now, I only have a couple of strength points over there. Usurper Emperor, target a loyalist leader in Britannia, Hispania, or Africa. Your choice. I could take this over, but I could also just take Britannia over, which would be a very powerful choice. That might be a good start so that my Picts don't cause issues. I might then cross over with all the usurper forces from Britannia and try to actually contest things. I don't know, I guess I will play by the rules with Britannia because that does not have just a straight. Play during battle to reduce opposing commander's tactical rating to 0, nice. Play during siege attempt, +2 to the siege roll, but you eliminate an additional besieging CU. So, what am I trying to do? Always the problem, right? I've taken African, the Africans. African. Why don't I have a strength point here? Because I thought something else was my capital. There should be a reinforcement there. I hope I didn't miss any others. I didn't take this yet, so and I have them elsewhere. Huh. Alright, gotta think. Storming the walls, we're going to hold on to that. Enemy leader wounded, we hold on to that. We have events we want to play. Usurper Emperor, definite possibility because there's a force that could cause problems to our Picts. It's unlikely to because it's weaker. So I'm iffy about that. Alternatively, there are no other areas I can go for. I could go down here in Africa and get another leader. That doesn't seem like a wise choice. Barbarian fleets, definitely not. Barbarian migration. So this is interesting because I can do as many as I like. I could grab a lot more plunder by doing this. And I could also... Did I take Gallia Venice away? No, I did not. I couldn't actually get there. I went in the wrong direction. I can't go where there are troops, so this guy's not going to gain much. This guy could gain Aquileia here and maybe move down and grab this as well. That's a lot of plunder. And start causing real problems up there. Quicker than I'd expect. This guy is not mine. This guy could come down and hit here and take that. So there's a lot of points available for me to take with that. But this is useless except for points right now. This one feels even better because I will get a migration with these guys. So I'm going to play this. This isn't a go away card. It allows me to just regain control over this tribe. Now what it doesn't do is it doesn't give me this. That's a space that they kind of owned. That's still going to remain an allied space, I think. Which is a little weird. It's not, you know, it has all the factors of an allied space. Romans can't move into it without throwing a card away, shit like that. Now, what's really not clear is what's up with this space. It's a loyalist space with some barbarians in it. It was a loyalist space with some barbarians in it. I don't think it's converted. And again, as far as I can tell, you can't spend your first movement point to just convert a space. I'm in a discussion with the designer over my videos on YouTube, with the designer and with someone else, and there's a claim that there's something in the playbook that talks about this, but I think maybe we're talking past each other, that the rule, maybe I need to go look it up, is what it comes down to. Because it feels like we're discussing whether or not you can spend the point after just moving in without it being the start of your turn. And so this is really a weird situation, right? But had it been this situation where it was a barbarian space, would that convert? Obviously this converts, it's the town. That's automatic, I guess. I don't know. But I really don't know what would happen if it was one of these. But here I'd be plundering the space and everything. That's obviously going to take an action point to do at the very least. So I don't think it transfers automatically. And then the other side of it is kind of, I don't know. Let me see if the example actually covers what I'm talking about here. Because I'm not going to sit and read the extended sequence of play, right? But I'm willing, or the extended example of play, but I'm willing to look something up if somebody points me to it. I was mistaken about that. I'm giving a reference into my video, not a reference into... I was given a page, but the page is the rulebook page, and we've dealt with the rulebook page already. I think what's going on is this. Additionally, after resolving any avoid battles, interceptions, or battles potentially resulting from prior movement, any activated leader may spend an action point to place a control marker belonging to his power in the current space. I think what's happening is that they're reading it as you don't need the avoid battle, interception, or battles. I have no problem with that. That potentially covers that. Yeah, it confused me a little, maybe kind of, just a wee bit. But what I'm actually worried about is I start an impulse in a space I don't have a control marker. Can I spend my first action point for that? That's not at all clear. And, you know, I got referenced with, or I got the argument of, well, Sword of Rome and Napoleonic Wars have essentially the same rules. I went and looked at Sword of Rome. I have both, but you know, I'm not going to look both. And no, they don't. They don't cover the rule inside the movement rules, which may seem like it belongs there, or the action point expenditure here, which is where it actually would make sense that it's just that, like, if you're in a space without opposing units, you can spend an action point to convert it. That would be the appropriate time, right? That would mean that you can't convert a siegeable location. You can't convert a place that is being intercepted. You can't convert because you could pause for the interception. You can't convert a space where there's a battle happening. You can't convert a space where there's an avoid battle until the avoid battle is successful. All that stuff would be implied by that. But instead of that, more words are used to make things a lot more ambiguous than they could be. Now, in the Sword of Rome, and I don't remember Napoleonic Wars, I go look at that one too. There's actually a section that talks about control of spaces and tells you how you do the points for that. And it doesn't go into making it seem like it's something that only can happen during an activation after. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Like, this makes it seem like you have to move into a space, then you can spend the point to convert it. Now, you could make the argument, and I pointed this out in the video, that, well, how did you get to the space without moving? You know, this guy moved into this space at some point or another. So, but that's not the feeling I get. It's the after movement that a point can be converted. And when I looked in the playbook, I skimmed it a little bit. I could find no example that covered the particular instance I'm looking at. And that's kind of important because you run out of movement points. A lot of games are like, well, if you run out of movement points, you know, you can't be in a space you don't control and you have to spend those extra points. If you win a battle, you automatically flip the space, but maybe you spend a movement point for the battle, shit like that. Every point-to-point game has all kinds of different rules to cover all these weird special control cases. And it's one of the things that makes them hard to cope with and why you need really, really good rules for it. One thing I did notice in the Sword of Rome is a lot of the style of this rulebook is actually taken from that. So the idea of like examples, exceptions being baked in between. There may be a few less. In terms of presentation, there's a lot less because the italicis is not bolded, it's faded, as it should be for such things. But anyway, I would never look at GMT as you know, the winners of rulebook writing. But this takes it a step further in terms of problematic. In terms, there are definitely more exceptions and examples in here, and they are bolded out. Now, GMT's done very well for itself, no question of that. But, you know, compare their rules to SPI's or most of Victory games, and you're like, wow, this is, you know, so disorganized. And there is a similarity here. On the other hand, they usually have a developer involved. I think they nail things down a little bit better that way. Anyway, let us move to the Roman turn after I have wasted yet more time on ranting. Having a right hard time with the Romans here. So obviously, you know, getting some reinforcements, sure. Eagles lead Britain. I probably don't want to play this. The 3 points is very useful. So I'm holding on that. Limited settlement. Do I have a barbarian I want to give someplace to? I don't know anymore. I can't just give them Germania back. I don't own it anymore. Oh, no, this is limited settlement. Maybe. Is there some place where there are very few barbarians that it would be really useful to eliminate them? I mean, up here, but that's not really within reach anymore. This, if I was going to try to wipe these Burgundians out, might not be a bad choice. They kind of don't have anywhere to retreat to, though. So maybe I can just kill them. What's my movement from here? 1, 2, 3. 3-4. Might get intercepted. That would mean using a 3-point card to attack with anybody who's in the area, because I have no leaders in the area of any value. But wiping out a tribe might be the best move I can make. I'm not really seeing a use for this yet. Militia raised. It's a reaction. Rome offers settlement. I could relocate a tribe. I could decide, say, these guys are too big a threat. I kind of want to aim for somebody who's got a big tribal marker on them for this. But this is a big force, and that is kind of scary. They're going to migrate around and cause lots of problems if I'm not careful. On the other hand, I do have the Byzantines who could attack them. I would be net +1 if I was doing this right. I've been doing too much damage. And fighting 7 to 8 or something like that. Yeah, 7 to 8. I wouldn't be wiping them out. But if I relocate them, I could give them part of Illyricum and get rid of a problem. And that is not unappealing, to tell you the truth, because they are a big force. So I guess my questions are, do I want to play a big card and hope to wipe this thing out? I think that's the better move right now. I hate to use this. Oh man, I hate to use this. No, I'll use the Eagles Leave Britain. Yeah. So I don't want to use this because you play this after winning a battle and you get a victory point. You also, cause more casualties. But that's huge. So I'm going to play that to activate, oops, we have a usurper. 1, 2. He wants to intercept. He is at +1 on the interception. Just checking what I have event-wise. Always a problem, whether I'm playing opposed or not. If Roman and not intercepting across Ruffian. So +1, I get a 2. I don't get him. So now I come up here 3, 4. And I've got 3 units facing 2 units. And I'm at +3 for the difference. No plus for being Roman. We both get 6s on the die roll. Let's see, the Romans were at 3. So that's 2 hits. And these guys are at 2, they do 1. We have a successful attack. They're actually allowed to retreat into here and lose a strength point for doing so. That is going to displace this butthead anyway. So I lose a strength point. I lose another strength point. Now the question is, do the Romans want to play their combat card, Roman Rejuvenation, or not combat, but event card, after winning a battle, increase retreat losses by 1, to just grab themselves a victory point? I think not. I think wiping this guy out is good enough. So they go through here. They lose one strength point for the battle. No, they lose 2 for the battle. Oh, they're just gone. Never mind, because there's nowhere they can go. They go in the displaced leader box. This doesn't have anywhere to retreat to, and the Burgundians are gone. And where am I throwing the dead? Are all the dead going in there? Yeah. We find the Burgundians, and we replace them with a white marker. Excellent. Now this is a barbarian space, though. Up here. Because we didn't take it. We're not taking the victory point. We didn't play this. Ew. Thought I had a nasty on there. All right. Back to the Barbarians. At this point I play the Usurper Emperor. It still gives me... can I raid Usurper territory? I don't remember. What is it called? Plunder. See, that's a big issue. Plunder 14.11 on page 32. Ugh. Such a big rule book for what doesn't seem like a big game. Plunder. The plunder tract is increase the plunder whenever a cultivated or warrant is changed from usurper to loyalist. Yeah, so the fact that I can hit usurper spaces, and it makes sense that I can, means that converting this over not this is of interest. It protects my picks. I'm probably not going to lose anything from them, but I have to do Britannia, Hispania, or Africa. I did find something because I was considering, oh wait, why don't I just do here? Yeah, the card doesn't allow me to, but so Britannia has switched over and is now all controlled by the usurper. But that doesn't really do much for me. That puts me back to Rome. Now, Rome was considering whacking those guys. I got to think real hard. I got to think real hard about that settlement idea. I could settle him anywhere that I control. Doesn't have to be Illyricum. But Illyricum's nice because it lets me push forward a little bit. But on the other hand, there might be better places. I'm going to settle, what are these? The Turvings here. And they get a couple of spaces. The Byzantines fall out. Not sure how I feel about that. I got spaces to control and whatnot. I'd love to give them back those, but so I'm weakening the migration capabilities, not really knowing that they have it, but it just feels like it's the right thing to do right now. I don't have additional migrations available to me, so I think I'm going to play this now for the migrations, and let's see what we do. This guy's problematic. This guy is easy. 1, 2. Take a couple more of these. That doesn't really make much difference, but I do get a couple of plunder for that. Can't go into Wales, man. It's not Roman. Okay, so that's that. This guy is pretty easy for me. Oh, this guy is a problem. Geez, wait. Let me not do this. Here's why. I got to get him landed somewhere. I believe usurpers interdict naval movement as well. I'm trying to figure out that. We'll take a look. Oh, they only prevent loyalist control. Or they're only prevented by loyalist control. So the usurper is going to allow me to move through here. So here it is. Control when at least one unbesieged fortified port in Britannia Romagna is loyalist control and naval movement. The only loyalist-controlled thing is a port, but it's not fortified in any level, not even one of these. So I'm going to try to move him. Now, I need at least 3 movement points, which means I need a fucking 3-point card to move him. Well, there's my 3-point card. I own Hispania, I own Africa. I've disrupted Gaul. This would be a siege. This is a port. I'm torn as to where to go, but I think what I want to do is I want to sail to here. Now this is a 3-point card. Oh, shit. It's a 3-point card, so I don't actually get to take the space. If I had a 4... Oh, no, this is a 4-point card. Okay, so I will also take the space with a plunder, and that's cool. That will reduce Roman victory points, another one, down to 17. Did I have anything exciting? Probably not. I'm going to increase the strength points that Wauto has with him, because I'm planning on launching an attack up here to try to drive them back. This is a remove after play. For the Barbarians. For the Barbarians, now it's time for the Great Migrations. And at this point, we do what we were showing before. The Picts march their 2 spaces. These will march 1. Oh, these sail 1, 2. It's not as good as I had hoped, but that is another plunder. My goal had been to hit this, but now I've got both of those in threat, or both of these, so Belgium is in trouble. This guy, oh, he's just not happy where he is. There's more troops here. There's like nowhere I want to flee to. Oh, wait. Am I fucking something up? Probably. There's 2 kinds of migration. And I'm treating them both the same because I thought there was one where you can migrate through a card. Yeah, so this says... So this is different. Normally you can spend an ops card for migration. This is any number of tribal markers for migration. I don't know if this counts as... which type of migration this counts as. My thinking was it's the kind of migration that you have at the end of the turn, which is sort of a long-term type thing. But this is happening inside the activation phase, so it may actually align more with this, which is no big deal. I haven't cheated, but I couldn't have done what I thought I could do, which was 1, 2 to here. I would have to stay in clear spaces. So I'm not going to even look it up and try to puzzle it. I think this is going to align to that. So he moved. He's gone. But I got him now. Ooh. One, 2. I get these 2 spaces. And again, I can't take the city, which I would like to take. That's 2 more plunder there. And this has never been controlled. Right? That's a migration marker? No. No. Don't cheat, man. Okay. That migration is actually this. Ooh. Does that call the troops back? I get the feeling it might. Barbarian tribe marker up to 2 along. It's allowed to leave such CU behind if it wishes. That's not terribly useful to you. And CU leaders can be picked up en route. No, I don't suck everybody up. So this is dangerous. 1. We'll take this back. No value for that. 2 to here, but what's cool about this is the migration gives me the plunder that I wanted over here. So that's his migration. And another plunder. And I believe that's all the leaders for that. This doesn't go away because migrations are kind of constant. All right, back to Rome. I'm assuming I can't play the militia raised as a response to the migration because the migration isn't supposed to be allowed into spaces with CUs, so that like it would fuck everything up. Like there aren't supposed to be interceptions or anything like that to migration. So, oh no, they can be intercepted. Oh, okay, wait a minute. Do I want to play an unoccupied loyalist space? None of these migrations were weak enough that this one's close, that I want it to do it. So the migration to here wouldn't be allowed. Here I would be allowed to fight. Wouldn't be very good odds. It's expensive to use a card for that. So because this card is so iffy, I'm going to spend it to march out of Rome and fight him. And that's one of my 4 points to hit this guy. So it's I'm at +1 for difference, +2 for Romans on the road. I'm going to change that to +0 essentially, because I take away his strength, so now it's +1 to +1. Actually, I think it's actually +1 to +1. The Romans get +1 for the road. The Barbarians get +1 for the leadership difference. You don't deal with. It's only the difference that gets changed. So +1 to +1. I don't know how wise this is, but it's keeping me from maybe losing as big a force. So this is 7. We have 5 strength points here. That's going to do 3. And they have 7 strength points. That's going to do 4. So the Barbarians lose. We're going to cost them an additional loss and a victory point. So the Barbarians will lose 5. That will displace the leader and destroy the tribe, I believe. I'm not sure. So the tribal marker doesn't retreat. That's the whole key here. So there's no troops to go back to. There's no leader to go back to because the leader's been displaced. So yes. Okay. And that's this, I think. I'm having trouble marking those. I got my victory point. I got that. The only thing I haven't done is taken 3 losses off the Romans. And I spent 1 movement point. 2. I don't know if this is wise. It might be better to leave things barbarian hands. 3, 4. And we'll take these spaces. But I feel like control over spaces generally is like what your goal is in these games. But in this one it's kind of funky because loyalist spaces and usurper spaces can be plundered. And you don't necessarily want that to happen. This is a remove from play, though. And we're back to the Barbarians. Oh, we still have this card. Yeah, so they do have to play. I don't know. I wonder what I did to get the cards mixed up, so that the Barbarians don't have an extra card. Would they? No, they wouldn't. Actually, they would because I had 2 of these. But what I did was I played this enemy leader wounded. So that makes up. We both played an extra card. For clarity, I need to add these into place. But now I'm in kind of a weird situation. I don't really know what the fuck. Okay, maybe not that weird for this game. I don't know what to do. Point-wise, obviously I can go plunder stuff. I'm holding Britannia. I could take some effort to try to get him somewhere else. But that would give up Britannia. I could take some effort to try to destroy this poor sucker. I'm building up forces. Once he's available, you know, if I take this, and there's no road going here, this can only be taken by sea. That's tobacco stains. My fingers. Okay. I could turn and move back up, but honestly, we're kind of dividing the empire up pretty heavily right now. So I kind of feel like, not doing that much harm. So what can I activate? I got 3 points on him. Not a whole shitload I can do with 3 points. Likewise, it would be it would be 2 points for either of them with the barbarian fleets. I don't have any really good leaders, unfortunately for me. What about other options? Things like raiding, reinforcements. Reinforcements out of the question. I could do a migration. But again, that doesn't allow me to take cities. But it would give me a couple of it would give me a lot of movement in terms of plunder. More movement than I would get otherwise. So that is not unappealing. And what is it? A number of tribal markers up to the ops rating of the strategy card. One, two. And that's 2 more plunder. I think that's the best I can do, is just move that whole force around and keep upping the plunder. Create more threats against Rome. I don't know what to do. It could be a great card that I'm losing there. Is there a limited settlement that I'd want to make? Is there a place where I want to take a strength point away and... could give them this. I don't know what the hell that would do. It just feels like a waste of a card to do that. A 1 point card, I could conduct a siege with him. I'd have 3 movement points. That might not be bad. I'd have 3 movement points here. 1, 2, 3, start the siege. Sounds good. 1, 2, 3. I'll take attrition, but I get the siege. I don't know. Last barbarian card, a 2-pointer. I don't know what to do with it. More migrations. Why not? 1, 2. 2 more plunder. We're just streaming all over. Geez, now it's looking really bad for the Romans. More plunder. 1, 2. I like migration. It's my favorite card. 2 more plunder. There go more victory points. But you got to break some holes to make the plunder work. You got to figure out your way there. So now all of Western Britain has fallen just because our new emperor-elect, new imperator, refuses to do a damn thing about it, and he refuses to do anything about trying to claim the throne. What an asshole. Alright, I got one more. I got one thing I can do. I can try to do something with this. I get 2 points. That allows me to move them. I'm allowed to move through Allied, through Loyalist territory. So, 1, 2. I got 3 movement points. I don't know what I'm allowed to move to. Am I allowed to move into this town? I don't know. Ah. 1, 2. We'll move up here. Take an attrition and convert that to an allied space. Okay. Speaking of which, it's attrition time, and there's lots of sieges and stuff going on. This siege is in the horrible position. I've got 2 strength points there now. I failed the attrition check, and so that's not good. I'm going to have to spend a card to get him out of there or something. But obviously, he's not going to just take Hispania back all by himself. Decent leader, but this guy succeeded in taking where he's taking. And we had conversion over here and conversion over here. This one came with an attrition. That's a huge force. And actually converts it to an allied tribal space, even though we're separated, but, you know, we're converting tribal spaces back. This is the best thing, right? Like, we want to convert tribal spaces back to tribal spaces. We don't want to do what we're doing, you know, in terms of converting things back to Roman, because they allow for plunder. But, unfortunately for us, isolated usurper spaces, there aren't any except for the weird Hispania thing that I'm cheating about, which means it's migration time. Uh-oh. I must migrate. Alright. Well, that's no big deal. We'll just walk around. We continue to wander around through Britain. You know, we'll get to convert towns once the usurper moves. I can't go where the troops are. These guys, 1, 2, that's 4 plunder I just took. And we need some barbarian control markers. Yeah, things are looking really bad for Rome at this point. This one, I have to go at least 1. Two, 4. We'll take 3 more plunder points. This is, it's just very weird to me. Like, there's no direction of the moving around and migrating. Yeah, and you can go through your own spaces. Yeah, I don't know. It's just so weird to me. So weird. That as long as you have the space to wander, you're fine. Now, if I wander my way into a fortified city, I think I'm allowed to stop. It may only be a provincial capital. I don't know. I don't recall. All right, that's the end of that. And now it's scoring. Ugh. Good God. Let's check places. Caledonia, Britannia, Germania, Gallia Belgica. This has fallen. It's complicated enough. I want to put a couple of these here. I don't want to just assume it's Roman controlled. Gallia Lugdunensis. Again, it's complicated enough. I'm leaving it as it is. Venesis is fine. Italy is fine. Illyricum's fine. Hispania and Africa are correct. I've got 4. That's -3 victory points. Uh-oh. Boy, they start plummeting fast when Rome starts to collapse, don't they? I wonder, I don't know. I'm kind of curious what the victory conditions are for some of the other scenarios, because basically nothing happened here. The Romans held everything and did fine up until about here, but now it's beginning to look really ugly for Rome. And that is historical, right? There was a period where they were under a lot of pressure, where Roman usurpations were heavy, and then things started to crack. But it's hard to judge without having ever played before whether or not I'm doing okay, on one side or the other, whatever. However you want to look at it. It's reinforcement time. We got no displaced leaders. We just got the series of troops to put up. Now we replace Theodosius Jr. with Honorius. Now Honorius could go anywhere. I really would like a leader here, so I'm going to put him there. I'm not thrilled about it because he's kind of a shitty leader, right? He's got a 3 initiative, no combat capability. He's not the guy I want there particularly. But you go with what you got. He's my worst leader on the board. But Rome looks like it's just collapsing. Right now, this is Rome, right? The usurper states here and here, with some, little bubbles that haven't yet been addressed. So I have to fall back, just like I did from the Picts, and gather more forces or whatever with a decent leader. And, maybe my I don't know, this is one of my better forces, which is a pure allied force. That's kind of interesting, kind of cool. But yeah, I've given away at least a hunk of Illyricum. I control it still. I at least get points for it. I have 4 provinces left in my hands. Now, I could have thrown a card and swapped who's who and taken over Africa and Hispania and Britannia. But those do not look like winning positions right now, particularly. Right now, I still think I'm holding the majority of Roman territory. I really want something to just make these usurpers go away, because they're just a problem. And they never will, right? Like, there will be broken pieces of the Roman Empire, which doesn't feel correct. Most usurpations, were... most situations where there was someone, false emperors, whatever, or imperial disputes, were resolved within a couple of years. So, if turns are about 10 years each, it's a little weird to have these continuous issues up there. And I can't do anything like create the Britons up here in exchange, because now that's a usurper power. So there's some stuff that doesn't really feel very, very proper and accurate. I'm having a blast in my own little twisted way. I know I say I kind of didn't like the blundering around feeling, but I don't know, man. It seems like every time that I'm faced with a game that I'm blundering around in, I do end up taking a certain pleasure in it. The problem is, early on, you really don't understand what the fuck how the game is going to progress, and that sort of thing. But plenty of games that I like, I felt like, I don't know what I'm doing, and it's growing on me. It's growing on me, man. The rules still haven't grown on me, though. All right, I'm a little confused. First turn I did this. I think we're in the 5th turn here, but I'm not absolutely certain. Let me count discards. Because Honorius was placed already, which I did at the end of the turn. I think I just forgot to move the turn marker out. I dealt out the cards. Yeah, it's Friday. And it's daylight out and not morning. somehow I'm awake earlier on the one day that, like, I mean, obviously I couldn't sleep till 7, but anyway, let's see what we got. Roman fleet interdicts if Gesoriacum or Portus Adumi is loyalist, cancel one Atlantic naval move. I don't know where these are. Portus something or other, but it's not the right one. Naval raider migration. Alternatively, if Massilia or Neapolis is loyalist. Well, we know where these are. Neapolis, Massilia. It's these others I'm not familiar with. And I'm looking, I've got a Portus Namaculum, or something like that. Oh, here's Adonai. And what is the other one? Okay, that's not loyalist. Gesoricum. That's this. Okay. Neither of those is loyalist, and I see no, you know, this is my first card. I do have a campaign, so I could activate quickly with 2 leaders with a big 3-point card. If there was something I needed to squish. Trying to see, these are mine. That's where the big rebellions are. They don't really have a capacity elsewhere. Stilicho! Well, he's got to be good. And I get to activate him as well. Let's take a look at how good Stilicho is. Almost fell on my head. 2-4, yeah. Damn good leader. So, see, if I knew I was getting that, if I had the deck memorized, whatever, good old Honorius might not be here. But even so, I'm going to have one less action. That's just 3 action points. I'm not going to be able to do a hell of a lot off the Stilicho card itself. Delay a critical moment. Play when a leader is activated. He gets 2 fewer action points. Alternatively, play when a leader makes an interception or a void and give him a penalty. Heraclius at Maximus. Place the Heraclius and Maximus leaders in loyalist spaces in Africa and Hispania, respectively. If no such spaces are available, place in any loyalist space. Instead, you may discard the top card from Tribal Reserve to place a loyalist CU in those. That sounds like a pretty good deal, actually. Okay, let's see about these. Now, I've gotten... Here's the Maximus, okay. And Heraclius is more active. I'm outnumbered here no matter what. Feels tricky. I wouldn't get anything. Actually, okay, you want to know what really sucks? Because of the usurper rule, I would get somebody in fucking Palma. I gotta look up that rule. I actually thought maybe I'm missing something about it anyway. Activate a Loyalist Emperor. He receives 6 action points this impulse. The AP cost to change control over spaces and to continue movement after battle is reduced to 0, and the AP cost for siege attempts is reduced to 1. Wow, that's a powerful card. Too bad my Emperor sucks now. I don't know what I read wrong, or thought wrong. Let's look here. Isolated usurper spaces become loyalist. Now look here. The loyalist player gains control of usurper control spaces which cannot trace a line of unbesieged usurper control spaces to a usurper CU, fortification marker, or leader. An ungarrisoned walled city does not suffice. I actually did things by the rules. It turns out I wasn't cheating. And I'm good with those rules. A little iffy about the walled cities, the provincial capitals especially, not counting, but I'm okay with it. It makes sense that you would have to have a military presence there of some sort for it to work. And that means I can leave Britannia and keep that under usurper control, although the Picts will probably continue taking territory there. So the only thing I can choose to do is the minor campaign. And unless this is much weaker than it looks in comparison, I don't see doing a jump. So now we go back to the Barbarians and think about them. And I'm going into the details of the thoughts of the cards more than I usually do in CDGs. Honestly, maybe I would be doing the same thing with Here I Stand or Virgin Queen or something like that now. But I wouldn't be doing this with most CDGs that I face, which generally have maybe a couple of events that are of interest and points. It's mainly because it's hard to get a grasp on what the strategy is, at least for me, in terms of what the hell I'm trying to do, even now, after this much play. So I got a minor campaign. Visigoth invasion. Visigoths, Alric, and 10 barbarians on Magna Germania, not terrible. Thuringia, Lipsia, or Carsugus. These are more appealing. So this is a possibility, but I might hold on that. I can turn another leader into a usurper. Again, this tends to be a good thing to do late in the turn. When flipping a province makes more sense. Saxon invasion. Place the Saxon tribal marker Hengist and Horsa and 4 on Slavicus or Treva. You know, again, the Saxons don't have to land in Britain anymore. There's no fortified ports, so we could slap them down, somewhere like here, or in Hispania, and start gaining stuff there. That's an appealing card. Young warriors eliminate allied CUs and replace them with barbarians. That's kind of interesting because it allows you to flip the points. So like this force would go from a 7 to a 2, and those 2 would go probably here, and strengthen that force. It's an appealing concept. Garrison surprised allows me to attack, to siege something more quickly. And Ostrogoths with Radagast, the Brown, Radagasius, and 6 barbarians in the Lipsa or Carsugus. Again over here. Who was the other one? The Visigoths are even bigger. Wow. See, all these invasions, and historically all of them happened, but it almost feels like I can't afford to manage them all, right? Because I need so many cards to operate them. Of course, once the cracks are there, I do get the migration cards, which allow them to filter in more quickly. But I kind of feel like I need to bash some more holes in the wall. So where do we start? Well, we start with stopping and thinking. Open up with the Visigoth invasion because I've got a campaign and whatnot. Putting the big force here, plan to try to break through here. Possible problems with that. Might be an interception. Might I be safer at Lupsia and just hit this? Let's see. He's a 2. My minor campaign is probably a 3-point card, which means I would be getting 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't give me a siege. Doesn't give me one here either. I don't know. I'll leave it where I've got it. That gets that card out of play. Wow, I feel exhausted. Just by the decision making in going over all the cards and everything. I think I need to swap pipes at least. I think I'm gonna do the Imperial Progression or Procession with these. Now, do I want to leave this unguarded? Yeah, keeping forces together is too important. I've got 6. That's 1. 2 for a siege. The second point for the siege. +1 for Romans. It's a strength point. Three, convert for free. Four, convert for free. 5, convert for free. And then back here for 6. I'm going to take these off, but Galeolognesis has been restored. Kills the card though. Nice card. I'm not sure I'll have emperors later on, right? This is actually a fear. I'm regretting playing the Visigoths because I wanted to play the young warrior, or now I realize I wanted to play the young warriors beforehand to get the troops all the way over here. He has only 7, 8, so he would have gone to a 10. I can only bring 10 with me. That could leave a couple of extra troops. Those can be reserves that I can take. I think I'm going to play it now anyway and give those troops to the Visigoths. I'm going to play a minor campaign. No. I thought all this was mine and I was going to collide these forces together. That's not going to work. Things I'm noticing, and it's because of my historical invasion of Germany so late in the game, in the Empire. But there were retaliatory attacks that were not as deep as this and whatnot. But I've got like a fair-sized force between these two, commander, whatnot, parked in Germany, just holding it. And similarly here, I've got this siege undergoing that isn't going to go anywhere, right? It's just going to fade away now. I was thinking about putting Stilicho here and moving him in, but that seems like a waste of his card. However, I don't know, I've got this asshole. He could do it. But again, it's putting two initiative leaders together, which is not optimal at all. It's like, you know, some of my better commanders, no matter what, are going to end up in stupid places. But the lack of operations you have, the idea that you can't just withdraw from areas is kind of painful. Sure, if I'm attacked or whatever, I can. But right now, I'm committed to holding this chunk of Germany. There's this little enclave of Roman-controlled territory with barbarians behind me. And there's not much I can do about it, you know. Rome would abandon this by any reasonable means, but it's not necessarily in my best interests to do so in the game. So there's a lot in this that's like just kind of not feeling right, you know, in the sense that I'm too limited in my movements and whatnot with these 10-year turns and everything. The fact that I'm holding on to essentially the Netherlands, you know. The 2-point card to advance into here, he doesn't want to intercept this shit. And that'll start a siege. I'm at +1 on the siege table. I succeed. It still doesn't give me Belgica because you only count. I looked this up. I wanted this anyway because I want to put pressure on him. If I can hit him, he's going to have problems, and maybe I can destroy him. But it doesn't count because it only counts cultivated and walled cities. Most of this stuff is, I don't remember what it's called, border spaces. This is a border space. So that's 1, 2, 3 to 1, 2. The way I count it. The thing I've run across is this, I don't want to play this card yet, I don't want to play this card yet. Everything's kind of being held in reserve. So the Saxon invasion, if I play this right away, the Romans might do something to try to get rid of this. And then I would have to actually move this Saxon army to take a space. That's going to eat up a card. So this would be a good last card to play. Usurper Emperor, also a good last card to play. Although, I'm kind of tempted to just grab all of Gallia Vienensis right away, because that would cut him off. If there's 2 leaders down there, I think 2 leaders actually is fine for me, though. Let's look at this. 17.2.1. Again, so many special, you know, the game has so much, it's so chromy. I don't mind that. That's something this designer tends to do, but it does make it harder to deal. You know, you have to look at the rules more. It's not just a small set of core rules. All loyalist leaders and CUs in the same space are replaced. Control over the space is converted. All unbesieged leaderless loyalist CUs in spaces in the same province are converted. Change control over all unbesieged loyalist control spaces not containing loyalist leaders. Yeah, so other loyalist leaders would still hold. So if I like fell back to here, I wouldn't get both of these. If the Romans fall back to here, which is unlikely, I could take both leaders at once. So there's maybe some reason for that. The minor campaign, I'm not really set up to take full advantage of it. The Ostrogoth invasion, I don't know that I want to play, but if I do want to play it, I want to play it late in the turn. So I'll push that here. This garrison surprise, though, might be the one thing that I can do something with. And I need to bust a hole here somewhere. Unfortunately, I want it to be here, but it's not going to be there. Well, it's not going to be easy no matter what. So why don't we play that? And we'll take these 2, 4. I have 5 points, though. off that card. Shit. Ah, jeez. It's just so hard, man. Let's play it this way. 2, 4, 5. We have some kind of reaction. We have this delay at critical moment. We could give him 2 less action points. This would be done, so instead of 5, he would only have 3. I don't want to waste a card for this. And so he ends up here. The thing is, I find myself having to constantly relook up or look up things that I kind of vaguely think I know. So, for example, if the I'm thinking about doing a campaign, moving to here to siege this. That would give me control over the province if I take it. But in addition, if I'm doing a campaign, he'd have 4 points. 1, 2, 3 to siege, then a 4th one he could go in here, and I could bring this guy in and get a combined attack. Great. Great plan. However, what happens if I'm intercepted? And the question there, this guy would still be able to come in and do a combined attack. Now, he could come through here and pick up an extra strength point, and that might be the best move. But what happens if he walks through the tribal marker? And that's what I need to take a look at. Now, I'm there on page 9, 2.43. And it might not be the right place. It probably isn't. It appears not to be what I want. What I'm looking for is the tribal overrun rule, which, doesn't have a marker, an index entry. We have tribal migration overrun. That's not it. And that's the rule I was thinking of name-wise, I think. But, maybe it's stacking. Because stacking is weird here. Yeah. It's really hard to fucking find something that you want to know. And the index could be more helpful here. But there's also I can't remember where shit is. And a lot of that has to do with the way the rules are laid out. Just the layout of the rules, not necessarily the ordering or anything like that. Simple stuff like the pictures and the amount of exceptions and examples and whatnot. That is problematic just for my brain. It's a personal thing. But I don't know where I'm going to find this at all. Like, what happens if I step on a tribe? If any non-barbarian force moves into a walled city containing the tribal. Yeah, that's not the case here. Barbarian tribal subjugation. You would think there's something that happens here. Of course, you're not actually subjugating it either. The space must be besieged. When the siege is won, treat the tribal marker as that the space was a non-walled city space. This may be it. 10.43. No, wait, that's tribal migration overrun. If a non-barbarian space, containing a barbarian tribal marker. After all battles, relocate the tribal marker to a space containing a leader of the tribe. If they're currently besieging fortified spaces, move it to the furthest east zone instead. Okay, so this is painful, right? If I move this force out of here for any reason, the entire tribe could be sent back here. Just the tribal marker, is that big a deal? Maybe, maybe not. Like, it means that I start migrating again from the east instead of where I am, and it may change where the tribe is operating from. But it is a painful concept in terms of, like, I kind of have to defend that thing. So, I think the Romans feel like they can get away with a minor campaign. I'll start with him. He has 4 movement points here. Do I want to leave this open? Yes, because I need the troops. 1 to there. I'm afraid of intercepting. On odd, I'll try. No, I'm not even going to try because I'm just in too much danger. Now a siege at 2-3, and that's a siege at +1, which is likely to succeed. And oh boy, does it. That converts this. And now Belgica flips over. And I could get rid of these. It's kind of a mess, so we'll leave them there. And then I move into here. Now he could try to withdraw because he knows there's some danger of a coordinated attack happening. But there's more danger of withdrawing in my mind. And then this comes through 1, 2, 3 to join. And now I'm going to pull all these off board because they're able to combine. So that is 10 strength points. I get the shitty leader, though, versus 8. Some came over a road, so it's +1 for both. 7 at 10 is going to do 5, and 4 at 8 is going to do 2. The barbarians are defeated. And so the barbarians have to retreat. They have to retreat 2 spaces. Well, they have to retreat 1 space to here. Actually, no, this works. I can just go here. And I do take the tribal marker with me because the leader's still on the board. This remains here. I don't remember if I got... I know I discussed around the issue, but I don't know if I got to the issue. The designer has clarified, has made it clear to me that regardless of how fuzzy I think the rules are, and he doesn't think they are, there's a lot of parenthesized stuff there, which he's kind of suggesting is maybe where the issue is, but I don't think so. That I could spend my first action point in converting the space over. So I'm going to play it that way from now on. It's the way every other CDG of this type seems to work, is that you can spend an action point to convert a space that you're in. You know, if you think of like We the People, Washington's War, I haven't played We the People in forever, like since it first came out, basically. You know, you sometimes move into a space and then you wait a turn and you pay like a 1-point card to convert the space, and it's just this kind of really troublesome mechanism there. But here, you know, it does work the same way. It's just not worded in a way that makes it obvious that that's the case. In fact, I think it's obvious from the wording that you cannot. But anyhow, over to the barbarians. How do they react to this? And it's not particularly a good thing that I squished them, right? Although I did get my troops out of Germany, where there's more plunder available now. But I pushed these guys further in. However, I did take Belgica, so I guess something good came of it. Worries of what might happen, plus I've got a minor campaign that I haven't figured out what I want to do with in terms of moving forces. So I'm going to play the Usurper Emperor and convert this area. And that's Gallia Venensis. Okay. That'll convert over. And I'll put one of these there. And we can see Rome is becoming more and more iffy, right? What do the Romans control? All of Italy, Illyricum, and these two. It's becoming almost split in half with 1, 2, 3, 4 provinces in usurper hands now. We're starting to get to the kind of civil war that the game started with, except we've got Barbarians coming through the gates now. I remember early on when I was talking about CD, if you've been watching everything, and happened to catch that. Earlier on in this, I was talking about how a CDG like this kind of leaves you with a who am I type of feeling, and I really, really feel it in this one. I really feel it. You know, I mean, it's like the usurpers aren't trying to stop the barbarians. Now, compare this to either the viewpoint of Imperium Romanum, where basically you're generally fighting out a succession war. You're generally fighting out Romans versus Romans. But the barbarians, the external threats, are played by one of your opponents. So, like, in a two-player scenario, right, if you had this kind of setup, the player playing this usurper would not be playing those the Picts that are a threat, right? So the barbarians that are threatening a particular area of the empire would be played by one of the other players involved in the game. In invasions, you're playing many, many players. I think that's like a 6-player game or something along that line. I'm trying to remember. That's got kind of a Britannia feel to it. And it is possible that you would like have some conflict like you do in Britannia, but it's fairly limited. You know, what you would be taking from one person, it would actually be causing some damage to that. So no damage is being done to this usurper power, right? The only damage that's being done is to Rome itself. And I ought to have a little flag here. This is complicated enough that I could use that. Where it kind of feels like you're those tribes, right? Each of them kind of individually, and you're trying to play them to their best. Here, it feels like I'm going for a point optimization of some sort of make Rome, whatever it is, fall as the barbarians, and as the Romans, I'm really Rome. I really am. You know, it feels like the Roman player is one thing, but with the barbarians, it's really more of a how can I optimize the damage that I'm doing to Rome, and I really don't feel like I'm terribly associated with any of these particular invading forces or anything like that. I'm just I'm the anti-Rome, whatever that is, you know, which feels less connected, right? And of course, you know, I'm the forces that are opposing Rome, whatever spiritual forces there are, because the cards are not are not things that are necessarily under human control. I'm having a hell of a lot of trouble figuring out what I can do. I've used up all my good Roman cards. I have Stilicho, great. Where would I want to put him? It has to be in a loyalist provincial capital. Is Rome a provincial capital? I'm assuming it is. Doesn't feel very provincial to me, though. But isn't he supporting the Byzantine Emperor? Anyhow, that doesn't leave me with a whole lot of choices. I also get a CU in it, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I could put him here. But wherever I put him, he's going to be kind of weak. Now, putting him back here is probably my best move in terms of he'll be bringing reinforcements up into the field that way. Other than that, I'm having a real hard time. I don't want to play this for the event. This one, I mean, maybe I can slow down something that the barbarians are trying to do. And then I have this, which could activate that, and maybe one of these extra points would work. But for now, I guess I'll bring Stilicho in over here. Be mistaking him with Belisarius. That may be what's going on here. Anyway, so he may have been Western. And of course that goes out of play, which is just peachy because that's a 1-point card and I don't want that in the deck. The Barbarian Minor Campaign, which is going to be a few things. I don't have enough strength points here to go siege this. That was my plan. That's not going to work. I can't abandon this fucker. Well, I could, as long as I'm not sieging a town. But I definitely want to do this. So I have 5 movement points with him, and I'm going to conduct a siege. Now I have, did I throw it out? Yeah, I threw it out. Okay. So I spent 2 of those 5. And I get a 2. That doesn't help. Spend 2 more of those 5. And I get a 5, and that does help. That kills one of these. How come I don't have a siege marker there? Good fucking question. That leaves me with 1 more. Not enough to do anything. Okay. Who's my other campaign going to be? Interesting choices. Interesting choices. Do I want to go bust things up down here? Try to finish this shit off. Yeah, the problem with that is I'll give the Romans another leader. The advantage of it is I could get this guy out of Africa. And I have a fort, so like Africa will actually stay mine. I just wish that this would go, like, stop being Roman loyalist. It bothers me that it is. But because everything's kind of slated against the Romans. They're the ones who have to get control, whatever. So it makes sense, but from a game point of view, but it bothers the hell out of me from other points of view. This guy would end up with 5 movement points. I could come down 1, 2... And, you know, that's not a bad choice, because I could take Lugdunensis away. And again, that wouldn't necessarily give it to the usurpers. So if the side switched, the usurpers wouldn't have Lugdunensis. They just would have taken it away from the Romans. Is that what we want to do? Because this guy can't see shit. And he doesn't get reinforcements or anything no matter what. Like, he's going to have to find his way somewhere. Maybe through naval movement. Other options, moving this, but that maybe risks things. That would be 4 movement points. What could I do with 4? I could come... So this is kind of interesting. Oh, I thought I had 2 different paths to the same location. So 1, 2... Can't siege it. I can't siege it because I'd be risking getting my tribe thrown back. Is the problem. I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, capture and plunder a space. That kind of gets rid of some of my migration capability. Like, it's like, why do that? I'm going to migrate. I can take this or something, no matter what. So that's kind of not too exciting. And, oh, here's the under siege marker that I've taken it off. I could gather his forces to present a big threat somewhere, but to me that kind of just helps the Roman player if he ends up switching to usurper, so I kind of don't want to do that. I'm left with not a lot of choices I want to take. What was this guy again? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, that doesn't help. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could attack there. But he's not doing me any harm. Just having a hellish time figuring out anybody I want to do something with. Oh, I can migrate some tribes. That's always fun. Sure. Why the hell not? Now, this is migration during the turn. Oh no, but then I'm not using the minor campaign for what it is. I've already used half of the minor campaign. So I actually can't migrate tribes. Alright. These guys aren't doing much, but 1 into there. I've got like 4, 5, 6 points. So we'll keep track of that. We just hit this. He can't retreat anywhere or do anything. So I'm hitting him 7 to 2. I'm at +2 net, and both are at +1. So it's +3 and +1. +3 is a 4 on the 7, which will do 2, and 4 on the 2. I'll do 1. 1 to here. Don't need to convert it. Three, I could get intercepted by Stilicho. Don't really want that to happen, I guess. I don't know. Where do we want to land? Well, this is further than Stilicho. Let's land here at Ravenna and get a siege for it. We're at +1 on the siege table. That will work. And we've done good things, I think. It's safe that we give this up because we have that. Of course, the Romans could land there or something. But, yeah. The only real danger is the usurpers are doing so well that switching over to them might be not a bad choice. I'm going to test this out. It's a 1. That's not enough to move him at all, but I'm having trouble finding a card that I do want to move at all. A strength point here in Africa is not going to terribly help me, even if it's 2 total. So I'll throw this in for another point. That gets me enough to move him 2 movement points. Just better than nothing, I guess. I don't know if I want to take Barbarian spaces. They're... oh, he's Barbarian troops. Yeah, why not? 1, 2. He can't intercept from a siege. So 3. No, just 1, 2. But then we may regain it. I don't know. I don't know how much value there is to that. Why don't we just say, screw you, man, and move into this town? Are we allowed to do that? I don't know. It feels a little weird. Careful about this one. Under no circumstances may unled CU remain in an enemy-controlled space. I don't think we've had that yet, but I could see it happening. I'm looking here under stacking. What do we have here? Lots of words. Okay. At the end of any card play, no forces from distinct powers may stack together, and this includes Walled city markers fortification. Yeah, I can't park in the city. Shit. All right. What did they say? I mean, if I can't defend the city, I guess we'll try to convert this. I'm not thrilled with it, but that's what we got. And the barbarians. The barbarians want to bring in their friends. I'll bring the Ostrogoths in, I think. One remaining Roman point. What the fuck can I do with that? I can move him, but he's got nowhere to go anymore. I can move Stilicho. He's badly outnumbered. Can't move this. My leaders are all too big. I could withdraw. I could do forced march, right? I could pull these guys out. They're kind of protecting something useful, though. Like, that's points that would go for plunder if I don't. This guy's not a 2, is he? No. Shit, man. I got nothing. I got a piece of shit card that I don't know what I want to do with. And forced march is... Naval movement is allowed for loyalist or usurper CU. I could pull this. That would be 1. And then just leave 1 up there, maybe. Okay, so what if I divide this into 2 1s? I'll pull 1 down, I guess, here to join the force. Oh, can't. That's enemy territory. Can't do that at all. 1, 2, we'll pull it back to there to garrison that. And this, how many operations points do it, or how many action points do I get? I get 6 action points, so I could go 3, 4 up to here and defend that capital. This one's maybe even more at risk. Do I own this? I do. Let's go there. Alright. And then for the last play, the Saxons are coming in. I have attrition wherever there are sieges, which is here and here, and then wherever I've got these markers on top, those are also going to suffer possible attrition. This siege is not really a siege. One thing that feels very wrong, and honestly, CDGs kind of create this, is that the idea of small forces doing stuff isn't really a part of the game. So if I want to do things, a big stack is what I want to move around because I can move it more cheaply with a leader. Lots of smaller forces placed around with kind of standing orders to defend the borders or whatever. More than just this, these I don't mind how they operate. But the idea of like, oh look, I have the Byzantines. Well, what am I doing with them? I'm doing nothing because I don't have enough cards to activate them and the other small forces that I have scattered around that are doing stuff. What I end up doing is focusing my points to get a big stack that might wreck another big stack. That does not necessarily feel accurate at this scale. Again, CDGs are just weird. Anyway, in terms of what happened, obviously we took some attrition, but this siege succeeded. We got plunder from that. The other spaces, hey, this is loyalist now, great. It's now available to create plunder again. It's such a sort of losing proposition as the loyalists to use your own troops for anything, because they just like, oh yeah, well, people move back in. Okay. We did attrition, we did control. Are there any isolated usurper spaces? Have I managed to fuck up? I don't think so. Which means we go to the migration, and migration is going to be interesting here, because I've got like different pieces that want to go different places. So the Picts can't go boating. They kind of can't get it. This is one reason to move him, so I can get plunder for that city. I guess we'll wander back up here. The Picts are kind of out of it. But Hengist here is able to take his Saxons 1, 2, and get me a plunder down here. Now that's important because I want to do that before I do these guys who are navally capable. And not very strong. Maybe we will send them down to Hispania. 1, 2. And start creating some plunder down here. That means, you know, even if the usurpation swaps, right, I end up with not getting control. You know, if things like Hispania start being captured by the barbarians, I start taking control away from them. Of course, there is this, but there's a big force there, so I think I'm okay with that. What about these buttheads? They want to move on too. So I could come 1, 2 and take this. That's worth 2 plunder. And it takes Belgica away. Where's that? I don't know who controls it. I don't want to think about that. Now I got to work from down here. Now this is complex. I can't go to. I got blocked off by this. I don't have to go 2, I only have to go 1. I could, of course, migrate up this way, face these suckers down. Oh, this isn't the tribe. This is. So 1, 2. I believe I'm allowed to suck the leaders in if I do that. Let me make sure. I can pick them up en route. All right, let's do these guys first then. 1, 2. We get the plunder for that. And again, this is the problem with being where I was. These guys, I guess there's no real harm to moving them up there. If they get stomped on, the tribe can withdraw. And I really do want the tribal migration advantage. I think that's all my tribes. They're spreading around and beginning to cause real problems, which puts me to scoring phase. All right, let's make sure the Romans control what I think they do. They've got Illyricum, they've got both Italies, and they've got Lugdunensis still. Looks like it. And I think that's it. So that's 4 areas. I lose 3 more victory points. 1, 2, 3. Ouch. Time is running out, though. And then we go up here, and that is going to add the 3rd wave to the deck. Now this is kind of interesting. There's almost no deck. There's only 1 card left for the Barbarians. So for the Barbarians, the entire deck is going to be 3rd wave. For the Romans, it's almost all going to be 3rd wave. And I don't know how many cards there are. We're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 turns. So, I mean, those decks look pretty big. So it's like 28 cards are going to get used up. I'll count those decks, take a look. Both third wave decks are 20 cards, which means at 7 cards each, the first 14 cards, these 2 turns are going to be almost entirely third wave cards. And then more than half the next hands are going to be third wave cards. Of course, these do get shuffled in. So there are some unused cards that are going to be in there. A few. There's like 4 here and 1 there. And then on the last turn of the game, everything comes flowing back in, right? Like, basically there's a reshuffle that's going to happen between 7 and 8. But anyway, let me shuffle those decks. The discards do not get shuffled in. That's a big deal. It's a big deal in the sense that these cards don't get used as many times. Like, you could randomize it either way, right? I think. But it is important if you ended up hiding, so for example, the 2 leaders that I have for Hispania and Africa, those aren't coming out for a long time. Likewise, if you ended up throwing, let's say, the Visigoths or the Ostrogoths or something away, you're not going to see them for a long time. So hand and deck management is an interesting facet of this. Of course, I'm never going to see them now, but there's definitely an impulse towards getting those barbarians out on the board, because they may come in so late in the game that moving them from Germania, there might not be many places for them to move to anymore in terms of migration, so you're not going to get much value. All right, I guess this goes up, and I hope I'm not past 5 p.m. I might well be.